again, welcome back to me, welcome back to Thailand. True Blue Thai here from Thailand. I hope you're doing well. It is one put here today in Thailand, which is Wednesday, and it's about 11 o'clock in the morning here in Thailand, and if you look tired, and I am, and I didn't sleep much last night. I stayed up for the game because it was 1:45 in the 0:45 in the morning kickoff for me, so I stayed up, and I thought, and then afterwards, when I finished around about 1:30. I got bed about in the morning, and then of course, for instance, I couldn't sleep very well, and also it's getting colder in the evenings in Thailand, so I got to make sure I'm cold, and plus I didn't sleep very well, and I had to wake up this morning and knowing that, but I woke up about 6:30, and then kind of I was wake sleep, listening to the reviews of the game from my colleagues, JCG, it's Extreme Company, for instance, City Extra, typical, a few others. Anyway, guys, I've kept away from the J and, for instance, and Lewis and Paul B and things like that, pure and simple, because I know they're going to go over the edge. And I honestly, I can understand that, for instance, what they're feeling and why they're feeling the way they're feeling, etc. But going over the edge, over the deep end, and again, for instance, you're going to get people going in, pep out, get rid of him, he's crap, la 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 la, and that's it. And for instance, I think you can't go. You've got to stay somewhere in the middle. Okay, you can't. You can be upset about the results. You can be upset at the way we play. You can be upset with Rodri. You can be upset with Pep. But you've got to keep things into context, etc. Because if we go on a winning streak now, for instance, everybody will be lovely. So you've got to. That's the reason why we are supporters, because we support our football club through a freaking thing. And the guys, big up to the guys who went to Norway, and I lived in Scandinavia for 10 years. I know what it's like. I know the expense of how much it costs to living over there. Quality of life is excellent, etc., but it costs money over there. And for instance, and it's to go over there, for instance, support the team, 400 City fans, and they were the man of the match, as far as I was concerned, of the game, of the team. But we've got to basically keep on the level, for instance, on of how we're feeling, and say that, for instance, to me, when I look at the game again, for instance, I look at the big picture of the game, and to say that, for instance, that probably the last game, or maybe the second to last game, we got Galatasaray as well, but be at home, but the last game. Where I do feel that, for instance, we will not be without reinforcements, etc. So, for instance, let me just explain. So, yesterday, for instance, we were still playing with Max in the back. For instance, where probably have we'll have Max in the back, etc. Plus, we're also dealing with, for instance, with. Rodri, which is clearly not up to speed, should I say, for instance, but also the way we're playing at the moment, because we've gone back to before when we were playing football, etc. For instance, when we were winning, we were playing where we would give up possession and make it hard to play, and so the games where we won. Looks of it, and a lot of City fans are now saying this. Typical City was saying it, Johnny, Lewis was saying it on LB, for instance, and they were saying, for instance, that Man City are now playing where the games where we were winning is when we were giving up more possession, and then suddenly we're going to revert back to the possession stats, the full, the maximum, dominating possession. Teams are basically sitting back and against us and counter and attack. And any person, and we knew that, for instance, the way Bodo play is by fast attacking, and they got these youngsters. And even though Man City's average age was the youngest in the Champions League ever in 24, basically, for instance, they waited until Nico O'Reilly and Ryan Ait-nori was 3/4 of the way up the field on a Man City attack. they reclaim the ball back, etc., from a loose pass or something like that, and then just sent all their players forward. So it was 4 against 2, and we got a 19-year-old and Kuznov, etc., against 4 players, etc. And so and the first goal was obvious. The second goal we didn't learn from, and for instance, and it just went on from there. So it was crap at the end of the day, and watching the 2 goals go in for it very, very quickly after it was dominating, because we started off quite well, but we just ended up giving away possession and for instance and leaving ourselves open at the back with 2 defenders, for instance against four players, and in the second half, etc., where we were pushing. Their third goal, etc., was an excellent goal, but you could say Rodri, who gave the ball away, and then he went back to retrieve the ball, etc., and he missed to re-tap the guy, and the guy just went right past him. Very unlike Rodri. And then, for instance, the guy put a wonder goal at the back of the net. For instance, great goal, for instance, to make it 3-0. Chorin Turkey got a goal back, which is 3-1. And and we never really looked like we, even though we brought on Mamouche for Foden, and we never really thought we were any better. Now everybody's going to sit there and say blame Rico Lewis, Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, but the thing is, at the moment, what was obvious is the fact that they packed out the centre. Everything was played very narrow and very congestive. So Phil Foden, Tiana Reinders, all the players, were all packed in the centre, and they were trying to barge their way through, and that's not going to work. And so what we needed to do, Jeremy Doku may have been a good player. Why? Maybe he had the knock. Maybe he's still feeling the issue, the problem from Dalot issue. I don't know. Someone said he might have a knock. But for instance, he should have come on. At least we could have dragged the game wide, so there you go. Playing around Ait-nori on the right hand side where he's a left back, etc. I don't know. It kind of worked with Turkey, him and Turkey. But for instance, in the first 15-20 minutes, they looked okay with Stoke City. But again, for instance, we've got to capitalise on our chances, and we didn't. And they basically they just broke on us. So I'm very disappointed, but I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram. I'm not going to sit there and talk about in pep out and everything like that, because I think that's just a total waste of time. I think, for instance, what we've got to do is basically and just basically, for instance, we will have for the next round, regardless whether we're in the top 8, or we have to play an extra 2 games, we'll have. I expect Diaz will be back. I'll expect, for instance, Gehi to start to reassure us in defence. Hopefully, Nico Gonzalez will be back, etc. For instance, for the because we need him back now, basically, because we won't have a Rodri next week, so we need him back. Nico Gonzalez back as soon as possible, really. And he said, I believe he's got a knock. But I hope his knock is not as bad. Hopefully, Nunes, because we're missing Nunes. He'll be back from his flu. And for instance, and we'll have Semenko in the next round, be able to register Semenko and Gehi for the next round of the Champions League, where we'll be top 8, we'll finish, or whatever. So, but we've got a really difficult game against Galatasaray next week, which we must win. We're still 7th in the league, I believe. In the Champions League? But where? Let me just double check. I think we're still 7th. But we've got to basically, for instance, get a result out of the Bodo Glint game. So let me just have a quick. So I think we're 7th. But let's have a quick read and let's go through it, and then see what we can learn. But okay, so the match stats. Let's go for the lineup. The lineup since he started off with Donnarumma in goal, Ryan Ait-nori on the right hand side, Nico Sorry on the left hand side, Max Delaney and Kuznov in the centre, Rico Lewis in midfield, Rodri, Reinders, Turkey, Foden, and Erling Haaland. Substitution was Divine Masaka, Benatelli goalkeeper, Nathan Ake, Charles Gray, Kenneth Noble, Jamie Doku, Stephen Muffid, James Trafford goalkeeper, Tyrone Sabamba and Omar Mamouche. not a great bench again, for instance, full of kids. Every time Man City buy a player, there's always a massive inquest on mainstream media, for instance. But you know, if you look at our bloody substitutes bench again, you'll know that, for instance, we are deeply divided. We don't have the players. So the possession again, 66% to their 34%. We had 8 shots off target. They had 8 shots on target. They have 5 shots on target. I'm sorry, 5 shots on target, and Man City have 5 shots on target. So again, we weren't converting our chances. So we had 9 corners, and some of the corners were just bad. So 2 to theirs 2. 6-9 on fouls, and we had 2 yellow cards for City and 1 red card for City. So yeah, not good. Let's. Okay, so temperatures were sub-zero ahead of today's inside of the Arctic Circle, but it was red hot atmosphere at the Aspinysa Stadion long before Bodo Glint took the first half lead. Norwegian fans were excited for one of the biggest games since the Champions League debut 5 years ago, and also welcome home hero Erling Haaland, national hero Erling Haaland. Yeah, it's their biggest game ever. They were talking about a Roma win, but they were saying it was their biggest game. City started top with Turkey forcing early save from Nikita Helen before Max Delaney, just off target with a header from a resulting corner. Again, we started off quite well. You know, for instance, it looked like it was working, but it was just it was as good as it got, with Bodo Glint striking twice in the space of just 2 minutes midway through the half, and who getting both goals. First, he squeezed home a far post header from a tight angle before sharp finish after the home side stole the ball to launch a fast counter attack. And exactly this is what they did. Basically, they've been watching City. They'll just Rodri by himself, etc., with Lewis, and so for instance, and again no really real protection. Are we blaming Rodri? You know, for instance, and as soon as we lost while our left and right back are halfway up the field, for instance, once they lose the ball, they'll just fast attack us, and it worked. And we've seen it so many times in the last season in the Premier League. So this is something Man City needs to tighten up, just step back, and give Bodo Glint maybe have more possession, and we'll counter them. City pushed forward for the goal before the break, with Rodri winning a dangerous header that Haaland couldn't quite turn into the far post. Yeah, I thought that was in that turn, but again, for instance, he didn't convert. So and then the number 9 was quickest to Nicholas O'Reilly's low cross. His first shot was just a wrong side of the post. Tiana Reinders had a couple of shots at the start of the second half, but the host continues to look threatening, and Hakan Elvia having a goal disallowed for offside before Haig curled in an unstoppable effort from the top of the corner. Turkey gave City hope when he drilled a low shot into from the edge of the box 2 minutes later, but was dampened when 2 yellow cards in the less than 10 minutes resulted in Rodri being sent off. Yeah, I thought if we would Rodri not sent off, etc., and after scoring, I thought if we could score 1, we can get 2. And then, but once Rodri got sent off just so quickly after scoring, I think it just deflated the side, even though they tried to backle on. Haig also almost repeated this extraordinary goal by curling effort into the top of the crossbar, and the Norwegian used their extra man to swarm over the Blues. O'Reilly had a late header save, but it was a freezing night of frustration that hit our Champions League hopes. So we had no way through. Haaland was on homecoming. It was a difficult night for the City striker. He had become the first Norwegian to score at home at the Norwegian side, and only had half chances. But the player who averaged a goal exactly a goal in the Champions League was annoyed when he couldn't strike in his homeland. His status as a Norwegian hero secured, scoring 16 goals in the 8 World Cup qualifiers to help them for the first tournament in 28 years. However, he was not his night. So City have looked strong away from the home season, but came to a shooting halt in Norway. And after 4 successive defeats on the road at the end of the season Champions League, we were looking good in the campaign. Monaco pinched the draw thanks to a controversial late penalty, but it was that superb win in Spain at Villarreal, recording Real Madrid winner. I don't know. Right, okay. So Guardiola's reaction. I didn't have any doubts in the competition. Nothing is taken for granted, and that's for sure. United beat us. They were better today. We had momentum, but the team was there, and were created on transition. They're really good. Ryan Ignori's reaction. It was a tough game. Bodo made a good game. We tried to push them in the first half. We tried to score, but we made some mistakes and they scored 2 goals. We need to be ready for the next game because we have one more game against Galatasaray at home, and we can have a big game against Wolves on Saturday, and we have to give ourselves the best week. What it means that City remains in the top 8, but it'll come to under threat for the rest of the match days of play today. A win at Galatasaray is a must if we were able to take a chance of avoiding the playoffs. So not good, not great in any way whatsoever, but again, for instance, not the end of the world. Again, for instance, we'll have reinforcement, hopefully be back soon, and that's the reason why I'm saying positive, because I feel that, for instance, in the next round of the Champions League, regardless whether we're off 8 or that, we can register Semenko and, for instance, oh my God, the new player, what's it called? He's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me in a minute. Mark Gahey. So we'll be able to register him, and hopefully Diaz will be back, etc. So hopefully we'll have more strength in our in our defence, and hopefully when Nico Gonzalez will be back, etc. And we'll have strength in our midfield. So where we're missing it. So hopefully Nunes coming back. So we've got to always look positive and thinking what's good. Yeah, but it is disappointing. I am gutted, but I'm not going to go over the top. I'm not going to throw my toys out of the pram. I'm not going to say it's the worst of the worst of the worst. I'm not going to do a J, for instance, and say we're a massive crisis, because we're not, and in any way whatsoever. For instance, and what people say it was just compared the same as United. No, it wasn't. We tried a bit harder. I think they were harder, but again, they just. I thought if we at Man City had our full complement, etc., so things would have probably be different. But yeah, so we got to remain susu, as they say in Thailand, which means stay strong, and that's what we've got to be. We've got to be susu, and that's what I want Man City to be, susu. So today, and so for instance, and not think too much. Looks like we're playing Salford in the next round of the FA Cup, because they beat Swindon. Right now, we need to be ready for the Premier League game on Saturday against Wolves. We will give everything we need to be ready to prepare for the game in training, and we'll see Saturday. We're still together because we have unbelievable group, and we make hopefully a great game this week versus Galatasaray. So to be honest, I don't know what was missing against Bode. Glint. We made a good first 20 minutes, tried to do some stuff, and they tried to and they scored 2 goals. It was a bit hard, but when they came back for the second half, we tried to push, try to cross and make some challenges. So Erling Haaland, I don't want to speak about how I feel about or whatever. I'll do my best whenever I'm on the pitch. I'm on the pitch quite often because we play a ridiculous amount of games. I try to do my best, that's my job, and I try to get ready for the next game, because from now, Erling Haaland, I don't have the answer. I take full responsibility for not being able to score. I just apologise to everyone and every single City supporter who have travelled to Bode. So he's not particularly happy. I've done my player ratings. For instance, nobody's really getting a high score. Roger, I think, got the lowest score for me. The average of 4 and 5s. I think Turkey got the highest at 6. For instance, I can just have a quick calculator, just go for a quick minute, just go through my player ratings. But I think I'll do that tomorrow. All right, never mind. I'll post them onto my Facebook site anyway, the player ratings. Again, for instance, nobody really got a high score. A lot of fours and fives really, and but we move on again. We've got Wolves on Saturday. We can redeem ourselves. We're at home against a team, for instance, who's getting a bit of form, but now we'll have Gahey in the defence. We'll have Semenko back, etc., and hopefully we'll have if Nunes can come back, etc., and Nico G can come back, etc., to help us. Then for instance, we've got to keep the faith, and and not to be too disappointed. And we're going through a tough time at the moment, but it's not over yet. Come on, guys, we've got to really support the Blues. So, True Blue from Thailand. So I know you're disappointed. Same here, but come on, Susu.